I've seen the Bissell Crosswave Hydrosteam come up in my comments a few times, but I've been hesitant to try it, mainly because I didn't want to spend $300 on another disappointing wet dry vac. And I knew the first time I saw the name Hydrosteam that it was going to be disappointing. It looks like a rebranded Crosswave with a little heating element added to it. But while I was in Target the other day, I happened to notice them for sale, and I took a second to look at the box. And there were a few things that Bissell's marketing department came up with that intrigued me. So I decided to buy one and see if the machine inside the box lives up to the hype on the outside of the box. The first thing that caught my eye about this box is this word Hydrosteam. It's a totally made up word. I mean, all words are made up, but Hydrosteam was made up just for this vacuum. The fact that they had to make up a word that sort of implied steam without actually saying steam led me to believe that this thing doesn't get very hot. It's kind of like how the word cheese is spelled with a Z on this tub of fake cheese, because they can't legally call whatever this is cheese. Anyway, it's the steam part of the word that I want to focus on. The word steam gets thrown around the cleaning industry quite liberally because we don't require the high tolerances that you might need in a laboratory setting, so we don't get hung up on the technical definitions of words. Scientifically speaking, anything above or below 7.0 on the pH scale is either acidic or alkaline. But in the cleaning business, we consider cleaners with a pH of 8 to be neutral because it's close enough to neutral to clean like a neutral cleaner and not alkaline enough to damage pH-sensitive materials like wool. Similarly, when it comes to cleaning, it's generally accepted that steam just means hot water, or maybe really hot water. But I think the folks at Bissell are stretching that definition to its uppermost limit. Without getting too pedantic, steam is, like I said, what we call water when it's a gas. When it's between 32 degrees Fahrenheit, 0 degrees Celsius, and 212 degrees Fahrenheit, 100 degrees Celsius at 1 atmosphere, sea level, we call it water. When it's below 32 degrees Fahrenheit, 0 degrees Celsius, we call it ice. And above
212 degrees Fahrenheit, 100 degrees Celsius, we call it steam.
Steam is a gas, and like most gases, it's completely invisible. That's the strict scientific definition, but lay people have blurred the edges of what is actually considered steam. For instance, the water condensing in the air over a pot of boiling water, although not technically steam, is generally acceptable to refer to as steam. The steam has been cooled by the room temperature air, condensed back into liquid water, and become visible. So my question to the average consumer is this: how much slack are we willing to give to the definition of a word? Is water that's between, say, 50 and 55 degrees Celsius, 122 to 131 degrees Fahrenheit, still steam? That's pretty hot. I wouldn't be comfortable in a hot tub set that high, but my water heater puts out hotter water than that, and I wouldn't call it steam. What about water that's between 30 and 35 degrees Celsius, or 86 and 95 degrees Fahrenheit? Is that still steam? Is the water in a Southern California swimming pool in the middle of summer considered steam? Now, obviously, I didn't pull these temperatures out of thin air. This is the steam temperature that you can expect to get from the Bissell Crosswave Hydrosteam. It puts out between 30 to 35 degrees Celsius, 86 to 95 degrees Fahrenheit normally, but you can expect bursts between 50 to 55 degrees Celsius, 122 to 131 degrees Fahrenheit, which is totally normal from hot water extraction machines. The heating element in the machine heats up the water, and if you're not releasing it, the temperature builds. Then when you finally pull the trigger or push the button or whatever, you get a big, short burst of exceptionally hot water. But then when you're holding the trigger down while you're cleaning, water is moving through the heating element, which can't heat the water as quickly as the water is moving through it. So you get lower temperatures than when the water is allowed to sit and heat. But depending on the size of your heating element, you can still achieve very high temperatures. A truck-mounted carpet cleaning machine powered by an internal combustion engine has no problem delivering 200-degree water all day long. This little portable cleaner does a decent job of delivering consistently hot water too, because it has a powerful electric heating element. It's so powerful, in fact, that it requires its own circuit, separate from the water and vacuum pumps. The Bissell Crosswave Hydrosteam powers the water pump, vacuum pump, brush roller motor, and heating element all on one 120-volt circuit. So there ain't no way this thing is making steam by anyone's definition. But then, it's not the Bissell Crosswave Steam, is it? It's the Bissell Crosswave Hydrosteam. registered trademark. The other thing that caught my eye on this box is the sanitizing solution that claims to kill 99.9% of bacteria. I didn't know that you could claim a sanitizer could kill 99.9% of anything. I thought that was a distinction reserved for disinfectants and sterilants. So I looked into it and I discovered the internet, as it always does, has a wide variety of definitions for the word sanitize, ranging from just a step below disinfectant to synonymous with disinfectant, but I couldn't find a consensus on exactly what sanitize means. But I did find something even more interesting. You can legally call your product a sanitizer if it kills 99.9% of the bacteria that you list on the package. So if you tested your sanitizer on Streptococcus pyogenes and determined it killed 99.9% of the sample you tested it on, you could put kills 99.9% of bacteria right on the label. Or say, if you tested your sanitizer on Enterobacter aerogenes and Staphylococcus aureus and determined it killed 99.9% of the sample you tested it on, well, you could put kills 99.9% of bacteria right on the box. I also learned that since 2019, Enterobacter aerogenes is no longer called Enterobacter aerogenes. It's called Klebsiella aerogenes. That was 6 years ago. It's a convenient little marketing ploy, isn't it? How would I, a humble consumer, ever determine if their sanitizer does what it says it does? I don't have access to a lab or testing supplies, and that's the key, isn't it? Because the 99.9% claim comes from results they got in a lab, not my kitchen floor. So is it still 99.9% effective in real-world conditions outside of a lab? Who can say? And let's not forget, this sanitizer only kills 99.9% of two kinds of bacteria, Enterobacter aerogenes and Staphylococcus aureus. What about all the rest? What do we do about them? Why did they even put a sanitizer in the box that only kills two kinds of bacteria? I suspect, and this is purely speculation, that because people associate steam with its antimicrobial properties and the Bissell Crosswave Hydrosteam doesn't produce anywhere near enough heat to kill anything at all, they included the sanitizers so they could still claim that their Bissell Crosswave Hydrosteam has sanitizing capabilities. Maybe. I don't know. What else? Hydrosteam technology cleans better. Up to 20% better on sticky messes. 20% better than what? What are you comparing it to? What was cleaning 20% worse? It also says multi-surface. Safe for sealed hard floors and area rugs. Sealed wood, area rugs, tile, and laminate. So basically you got the Swiss Army knife of wet-dry vacs. And as we all know, a multi-tool is never as good as a specialized tool. Carpet and hard flooring are very different. They require different chemistry. They require different tools. So there's no way that this thing cleans carpet as well as it cleans wood or tile or anything else. Okay, so now that I've thoroughly torn the box apart, I guess this is the part where I tear the box open and test this thing out. So let's get into it. Let's see what this thing's all about. All right. As one might expect, we have an identical fresh water tank to the old Bissell Crosswave. Oh, and this is what I'm smelling. We've got multi-surface pet. Multi-surface. What is this? Pet multi-surface. Pet multi-surface. Removes tough pet messes and eliminates odors. Okay, so it's a cleaner. Fresh Start Clean Out Cycle formula designed to clean the inside of your Crosswave machine to help maximize performance. So it's a cleaner for the cleaning machine. And here's the hard floor sanitize. Cleans and sanitizes, eliminates 99.9% of bacteria with a little asterisk. And where is the asterisk leading us to? Kills 99.9% of Enterobacter aerogenes and Staphylococcus aureus. Nothing more. I admit, I was a little concerned that there was going to be a longer list of bacteria that it cleaned on the bottle itself, and I was going to have to go take back everything I said before, but I don't. Similar, very similar to the old Crosswave, But the old Crosswave has a hard floor and a carpet mode button. And the buttons are on this aspect of the handle right here, not on the front, which means that these aren't going to be as visible. I can already tell I hate this thing. Oh, the base, of course. Good gravy. Oh, we got cardboard on the bottom of this too. Same old waste tank, pretty much. This must be the cleaning button, I'm guessing, for cleaning itself. That's when you use this. What do you do with this? Fill. Slowly pour formula in the recessed area of the storage tray. Oh, okay, so you pour it into this part here, and then it sucks it up and cleans it. Oh yeah, start clean out cycle is that picture. Matches that, so that's the clean out cycle. So that goes in there, and that goes in there, and that goes in there, that goes in there, and that goes in there. All right, let's fill it up and clean some floors. So the first thing we have to do is fill the fresh water tank, and I love the way Bissell has this intuitively laid out. The instructions say for a small area, fill the water to this line, and then top it up with formula to that line, and for a large area, fill it up with water to that line, and then formula to that line. We're just gonna fill it all the way up because we're gonna be doing a lot of cleaning today. And we're using the PET multi-surface cleaner. That was about half the bottle. Let's see what the bottle has to say. Damn it, I was supposed to shake the bottle. For small areas, fill tank, blah, 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 large areas. And then there's WAP instructions, in case you're dealing with a WAP. And this just plugs in right here. I suppose I should read this since I didn't read the instructions on the solution, and I messed up already. So what does this have to say? How to clean. Before each use, hold trigger for 10 seconds to wet brush roll. Oh, that's a good tip. In SteamWash mode, hold trigger for about 30 seconds for visible steam. And then we've got cleaning modes. We've got hard floor mode, which is formula only. SteamWash mode is formula and steam. And then there's area rug mode, which is formula only, no heat. Okay, I'm already impressed. They solved a problem. Which machine was it? The UWant V500, their vacuum. The complaint I had about it was the angle when you're using the vacuum, you can't really see the display and these LED lights. And on top of that, the green LED reflects all the way up the length of the vacuum, obscuring any information you might get from the display. The only way you can really see it is to pull it back by your side. But on the Bissell Crosswave Hydrosteam, it shows you right on the top of the vacuum head what mode you're in. It's so obvious, you have to wonder why nobody else thought of it. There's a mark I'm trying to get off the floor with the steam mode. So that was a success. Did you see that? Did you see how the cord fell out of the little clip at the top of the machine right here? In my videos about the Bissell Crosswave and Hoover Floor Mate, I complained that the cord didn't come out of the top of the handle the way vacuum cleaners used to be wired, so it just came straight out the top. That way, when you're vacuuming, it's out of your way. And everyone in the comments, you know, called me out saying that there's a clip and you just put the cord in the clip and then it stays there. Number one, the clip is not at the top of the handle. And number two, it doesn't stay in. That's why I complained. It's a bad design, and I don't know why they can't just run the cord out the top of the handle. They're already running wires to the trigger, to the power button, to the settings button. Just run the power out. Anyway, you could see steam coming out of the machine, like coming out of the top of the brush roller. The steam was just coming out. It looks very impressive, I'll give you that, but knowing the context of the cool air versus the warm water, it's not that impressive. If there was a pool outside, if the water temperature of the pool was 85 degrees and it was the same temperature outside as it is right now, you would see steam coming off the pool. And you wouldn't look at that and go, wow, it's steaming, we should use that to clean the floors right now. You'd just be like, oh, the pool must be warm and it's cold outside. So it did, however, get that stubborn little spot off the floor, which I was very impressed by. It took many, 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 many passes, but it did the job. One of the other things I wanted to try out while I had this here, the chairs that normally sit around the dining table have little felt feet on the bottom, and they come off when you move the chair. And so it leaves a sticky black mess on the floor where the chairs slide. And then there's a chair in the living room, sort of the same situation. So I want to see if this can get those out, because the U-Want D100 and the Tinco iFloor didn't touch them at all. So let's try that out. I think I filled up the waste tank. All right, time for the money shot. Oh, shit. Well, that seems like a poor design. What is that anyway? Is it something that was supposed to be removed?
It's to catch pet hair.
Yeah, it's the pet hair catcher. How does it go in? Does it just...
Pull the hair out.
So that, you pull that out, get all the hair and stuff, I guess? And then that bit goes there. I stuck my hand in a toilet. Okay, so it didn't all come up. Oh, but it's just rubbing off with my finger. I don't know if the Bissell Crosswave Hydrosteam can take any credit for that, or if it would have come up that way all along. But I have tried to clean it with other things before and it didn't come up. So I think the hot water and the cleaner probably did have some effect. But it did clean up some of the smaller spots. It left that one big one right there in the middle. I see a little ball of dog hair over in the corner over here. So let's see how this thing handles dog hair like that. We'll do it just on regular hard floor mode this time. Yeah, it handled it like a boss. The ball of hair actually came to the Crosswave. That's how you know you're a master at your craft, when your victim comes to you to be destroyed. So there's a couple more spots here and here from the felt on the bottom of the feet of the club chair that normally sits here. This isn't so much from the stickiness of the glue that holds the felt pads to the bottom of the chair feet, but from just gunk and dirt buildup in the felt pad getting rubbed. Oh, look at that. It's just dust. Oh, for fuck's sake. It was just dust. It was just dust. That's just how dirty the floor is. Okay, moving on. I'm not sure how well it shows up on camera, but the traffic pattern in this room runs along right here to my left. So this L shape from along this wall to right here is visibly cleaner than this area over here. But I want to see if I clean this area right here, if I can get it at least close to as clean as this area is right here. So let's find out. Well, it's definitely cleaner. It doesn't match. It's never going to match. I wasn't expecting it to match. It also smells better in here too. You know, the scent of the cleaner, it hangs in the air and it's pleasant. It's kind of a little fruity. Filled the waste tank again. That's twice. Really haven't cleaned all that much in here. Just this area over here and the area behind me, and I spot cleaned. Holy crap. The area I spot cleaned. Wow, look at that. But there's an area right there that's lighter than everything else. Look at that. Holy smokes. All right, let's get this right this time. So that comes off. This isn't exactly a one-handed operation. And then you pull that out. That traps all the pet hair, I'm assuming. And then you can, ooh, look at that. That's some dirty water. Now this is what I've been most looking forward to trying out, this rug. It's dirty, there's spots all over it. I just want to see if this machine that was clearly made for hard surfaces works at all on a rug like this. So carpet mode. I think we're getting some sort of error code. Oh. We're already out of solution. That's not, that doesn't, One bottle, and I did, let's see what I did, hold on. I mean, that's like 100 square feet I just cleaned. And sure, I went over that spot, you know, quite a few times. There was a spot over here I went over a few times. I did this, but it was just this little area. And I've already used half the solution, emptied this whole thing. All right, so this is now the other half of that bottle of solution. So if I do any more cleaning, you know, after the next 100 square feet or so, I'm gonna have to go get another bottle of solution. Let's read the instructions. Oh, they do call that little bottle of formula a trial formula, so it's not meant to last, I guess. It's crazy. There's no specific instructions for using it on area rugs. I would think there would be something you would need to know. It just says not to use it on delicate rugs. I'm getting this error message that shows the rug and hard floor icons flashing together. I don't see any mention about that in here. All right, let's try it again. What does that mean? How do you even interpret something like that? So I was trying to clean the hard floor in rug mode and then go up on the rug at an angle, seeing if I could ease onto the rug. And you could see the brush roller was really struggling, and then it stopped moving at all, and those LEDs started flashing. I'll show you. So it's either an issue of there's not enough airflow, it's creating too much of a seal on the bottom of the vacuum, so too much suction, or the brush roller just can't spin, or maybe some combination of both, I don't know. But definitely no way this thing is going to clean this rug today, so we'll clean the rest of the place. That's 3. With one hand you take this out, and then what do you do with it? You gotta put it somewhere, and then this. You gotta take that out with the foam, and then whew. Well, no one can say that it's not getting something off the floor. So if my math is correct, that's now 3 dumpings of the waste tank, and I've refilled the clean water, the solution tank, once, and it's half empty. So you get 2 waste tank fillages. You dump the waste tank twice for every time you fill the solution tank. So that was it. That was 8 ounces of cleaning solution and 2 tanks of water and 4 waste tank dumps. Well, 3. I haven't dumped the waste tank for the final time, but I'm out of solution. The waste tank is, or the solution tank is empty for the second time. So that's 8 ounces of solution. And this is what I've cleaned. So I cleaned this whole living area, including underneath the sofa. I cleaned this space, the dining area, the kitchen, and the hallway right here, just up to right there. And then the bathroom, all of the bathroom floor, and that's where I ran out of solution. So actually, that's not too bad. When I went around and actually looked at what I cleaned, I think this apartment is 600 or 700 square feet, and I cleaned the majority of it. The only parts I didn't clean were the bedroom and just the hall and entryway, which is, I mean, that's not even half of the apartment. I would say it's probably closer to a quarter or a third of the total square footage of the apartment. So that's not bad. 1 8-ounce bottle, so 8 ounces of solution, and I had to fill and dump the waste tank twice. So if I were doing the bedroom and the hallway too, we're looking at probably filling the solution tank one more time and probably only using about half of it, if that. So I think that's fairly economical. And I did all of the cleaning I did with all of the flooring in here, I did in steam mode, which isn't going to, use any more solution, I don't think. It shouldn't. Can't. That wouldn't make any sense why it would. And, it did a decent job. The floor right now is cleaner than it has ever been. So kudos to Bissell. Let's see what else we can clean. This is a vinyl floor, very similar to the one that I just cleaned, except this is in an office building where all of the tenants pay a monthly fee to have a cleaning crew come in every night and smear dirty water all over this floor. I don't know exactly what they do, but I can tell by the evidence on the floor that they're using dirty mop water in a dirty bucket with a dirty mop. They take all of the dirt that's on this floor after a long day of work, and then they redistribute it all over the floor. You can see, looking at the floor, every mop stroke that they leave behind every night. So let's see if the Bissell Crosswave Hydrosteam is just another toy or if it's a cleaning machine. I'm gonna let the cleaner dwell a little bit on the dirty floor and then go over it again and see if that helps emulsify any of this really built up, caked on dirt. Now, obviously it did something, but this wasn't the magic bullet that's gonna restore this dirty vinyl floor. I wasn't expecting it to, and to be honest, it actually did a little bit better than I had anticipated. But I'm sure this floor has been cleaned for years with dirty water mixed with cleaning solution. left on the floor, and when you apply that night after night after night, you create a buildup that you're going to need strong chemicals, heat, and agitation to be able to break through that. So it did a better job than the cleaning crew that the tenants in this building pay every night to clean this floor, but you know, it's not what I would call a restorative clean. So moving on. Okay, so that wasn't a fair test. I knew the Hydrosteam didn't stand a chance at cutting through that grime, but when I saw that floor, I just couldn't help myself. Obviously, these cheap wet dry vacs were made to replace mops. They weren't meant to compete with commercial cleaners. So a more appropriate test would be to see how it responds to a situation in which you would have traditionally used a mop, such as cleaning up the aftermath of a second floor bathtub, draining into the bathroom below, and the resulting flood it caused.
That's not what you want to come home to.
Initially, I tried to clean up the standing water with the original Bissell Crosswave, but it doesn't have much capacity, so after filling it up about half a dozen times in under a minute, I gave up and brought in my portable carpet extractor with a 10-gallon recovery tank. I only had to dump it twice. Once I had all of the water sucked up though, I tapped in the Bissell Crosswave Hydrosteam to mop up, and I was not unimpressed. During the triage process, I tracked mud all over the tile in the entry, and it had no trouble cleaning it up. And I can tell you, I was glad to have this thing. It made cleaning up the mess so much quicker, easier, and thorough than if I had had to try to soak up the water with mops and towels or whatever. As far as I'm concerned, that's reason enough to have one of these things on hand. And let's not forget, as a special bonus, it cleans sticky messes 20% better than something. So let's see if that's true. The little card that came with the Hydrosteam has a list of things for which the SteamWash mode is ideal, including chocolate syrup, honey, and toothpaste, which are the only 3 things on the list that I happen to have handy. Although I could probably produce urine and vomit, I'm not going to. So let's make a sticky mess and see how the Bissell Crosswave Hydrosteam handles it compared to the original Bissell Crosswave. Let's see. A little for the Crosswave, a little for the Hydrosteam, a little bit more for the Crosswave, a little bit more for the Hydrosteam. All right, let's start with the Crosswave, the original. The chocolate syrup was nothing. Let's try the honey. Ooh, the honey's a little trickier. I'll have to count how many passes that was when I review the footage, but that was definitely a bigger challenge for the original Crosswave than the chocolate syrup was. All right, toothpaste. Well, the toothpaste smells nice, but it's a foamy mess. I might have to clean that up with the Hydrosteam if the Hydrosteam does well. Let's see. Let's find out. We gotta let it warm up though. Chocolate syrup was no problem. Ugh. This is so wrong. You wouldn't do this, would you? I don't know how many passes that was, but it was a lot less than the original Crosswave. But like, this just feels wrong. Is this how you would clean if this was a normal circumstance, not, you know, a demonstration for a video? I would have wiped up as much of the honey as I could with a towel or something, a paper towel, and then hit it with this. But I don't know. Is that normal? Is that what people do? Let's try the toothpaste. Oh, no way. Oh. Ah, that's not fair. I accidentally hit the button and I was in hard floor mode when I ran over the toothpaste. So we didn't even get to see, let's see it. Let's do it again. Let's throw down another glob of toothpaste and see how it picks it up in steam mode, since that's the whole point of this thing. Should have let it warm up a little bit. Ew. Filled it up. The heat definitely brings something to the table. That's undeniable. The Bissell Crosswave Hydrosteam cleaned up the honey in so many fewer passes than the old school Crosswave. I still want to find a carpet or a rug, some sort of textile that the Hydrosteam will actually work on. So let's see what we got. I have no illusions about this. I know for certain that this is not going to work on this rug. This rug is probably thinner than the last one, and it's made out of viscose, so I'm not holding out any hope, but let's find out. Yeah. It seemed like as long as I was going forward, it was going to work, but then the second pass trying to just go forward, it died. Let's find some wall-to-wall carpet and see if it works on that. All right, I found some carpet. Good quality, wall-to-wall. We'll see if this thing works on it. Unfortunately, it doesn't have any confetti. It might have dander, dry dirt, dust, food crumbs, glitter, lint, or sand. None of which you should be trying to clean up with this anyway, because the first rule of cleaning anything is to remove as much of the dry soil, the dry dirt, the debris as possible before you add any water or cleaners. If you have dry dirt on your carpet and you add water to it, what does that make? Mud. Don't use this to clean up dry dirt on your carpet. You're just going to make mud. Use a vacuum. If someone tracks mud onto your carpet, you let it dry and then you vacuum it up. Everybody knows that. So the lint and these little bits of stuff will simulate confetti, dander, dry dirt, dust, food crumbs, glitter, lint, and sand for this demonstration. If the vacuum will even work on this carpet. Let's find out. Oh my God, it's soaking wet. I would not recommend using this on carpet, especially not to clean up any of the things they listed on this card. All you're gonna do is make mud. Plus, using this thing on carpet is a workout. It does not glide across the carpet the way a regular vacuum would. So, thoroughly unimpressed with its carpet cleaning ability. Look at how dirty this brush is. Look at that. Look at all that hair in there. The brush is supposed to be white and green, and it's a dingy brown and green. There's all kinds of crap trapped back in there. This thing's gnarly. So it's time to find out what the clean out cycle is all about. The instructions on the clean out cycle formula say to put 2 ounces of formula in the tray. But the instructions in the manual say that putting formula in the tray is optional, and to put the formula in the clean water tank, which I have to admit really threw me. I've got this little bottle of clean out cycle formula. I'm reading the instructions on how to run the clean out cycle, which say to put the formula in the clean water tank, but that's not what they mean by formula. They mean the formula you use to clean the floors. Now, if you thrive on chaos, don't use measuring cups when you're cooking, hang pictures without a level, work for Land Rover as an engineer making asymmetrical back doors, then these instructions might not even give you pause. Clean out cycle formula, floor formula, Diet Coke, whatever. It doesn't matter, nothing matters. But if, like me, you require specificity, then these instructions are confusing. I figured it out though. I've got 2 ounces of clean out cycle formula in the tray. I've got multi-surface cleaner in the clean water tank, and then we just press this button. The lights are dimming, like it's drawing so much power, like Christmas Vacation. The instructions say for best results, never run the cycle more than twice. It doesn't say why. I don't know if something bad will happen if you do it more than twice, but let's see. It's looking pretty good. I mean, the brush roller is much wider than it was before, but there's still, look at all this hair. Still lots of hair in there. So let's run it a second time. Let's drop 2 more ounces into the tray, and then we'll run the cycle again and see if there's any improvement running it twice. Was there any improvement? A bit. There's still hair down in here, and there's still some hair here. You know what would probably help that a lot is if they did like the folks at YouWant did with the D100, where the brush roller spins aggressively in one direction and then it spins backward the other way, so that you're brushing the nap on the roller in 2 directions. And I think that would help clean this a lot. But you know, it definitely looks cleaner, but I'm gonna have to go in here and clean it by hand if I really want it clean. So, well, I think I've got a pretty good feel for the Hydrosteam now, and maybe I was just a tad harsh in my initial assessment, but that's only because I knew there was no way this thing could live up to the hype on the box. And it's not like I was totally off base either. I mean, why do you have to create so much propaganda to try and sell a product? Whatever happened to just making a good product and letting it sell itself? Why do you have to literally make up words to try and make your product sound better than it actually is? And I don't care what prefix they put in front of the word steam. They put steam on the box, and this thing does not make steam. It gets hot, which is better than its predecessor, but it doesn't make steam. Also, that claim that it can clean carpet as well as hard flooring is bordering on a blatant lie. I will give credit where credit is due though. It does clean sticky messes better than the original Crosswave. Does it clean them 20% better? I couldn't say. But overall, if I had $300 to spend on a wet dry vac and it came down to a choice between one with heat and one without, I'm choosing the one with heat every time, because having a continuous source of heat is always going to be better than cleaning with diminishing heat or just plain room temperature water. As always, there's links to everything I talked about in this video in the description. Thanks for taking the time to watch my video, and stay clean. I'm in here trying to record, you know, and I've got all the doors and windows closed because it's really fucking loud outside with the ocean, you know, and people out there, and it's windy. And now there's a fucking band setting up.
We've been sliding since I don't remember when, in and out of consciousness, while others might be stressing out.